Hey guys, Mr. Funkzina here, and today I'm going to be sharing with you my ranking of Doctor Who Series 9, including the most recent Christmas special, The Husbands of River Song. So, without further ado, let's begin. Number 13, Hell Bent. Oh god, no. Just no. Okay, I'm quite cynical about Stephen Moffat's writing, and the one time I wasn't, and actually started getting invested, proved to be my downfall. Heaven Sent was one of my all-time favourite episodes, and I was actually engaged. Naturally, I was anticipating this final. Yeah, that'll teach me. Okay, so first off, the Doctor arrives back on Gallifrey after billions of years waiting to return, after he finally had the chance to save it in Day of the Doctor. Oh, and Rassilon is there too. Rassilon. You know, only one of, if not the most powerful Time Lord to the point of a god in Gallifreyan legend, who is defeated because he's ganged upon. There's no sense of conflict between the two there. No threat, because Gallifrey apparently bows down to the Doctor now. Oh, and him betraying the Time Lords to save Clara. That is literally an on-screen version of how I felt amongst many others. It completely guts Face the Raven and Heaven Sent of any emotional weight or meaning, because now, it's all gone. Were you invested in Heaven Sent? Did you like the ending for Clara's character? Well, screw what you think, because I'm Stephen Moffat, and what I say goes. Not to mention, the whole memory loss thing firstly comes out of nowhere, but we've seen it many times now. You know, Journey's End with the War Games. Can we not have a, original idea like we had in Face the Raven? Oh well, never mind. But it's just me. The whole Face the Raven thing was quite inventive, and it was actually a more dignified ending for Clara. The whole framing device itself with the Doctor telling Clara the story is practically a plot hole itself. The Doctor says he knows Clara was there, but he doesn't know what she looks like, spoke like, or more importantly, even what she said. So how in the hell does that work? Oh, and the hybrid reveal. That's not genuine ambiguity, it's lazy. It feels as if the whole hybrid thing was crowbarred into scripts when Moffat realised they needed an arc whilst we kid ourselves it'd be something interesting. Here's Moffat. Oh yeah, but don't worry about all that, because look, we have a classic TARDIS, and a Cyberman, and a Dalek, and a Weeping Angel, and a new sonic screwdriver. Number 12. Sleep No More. Does this honestly come as a surprise to anybody? I don't hate this episode in fairness. It's pretty average though. Sure, I was bored as hell in this episode, but I wasn't annoyed by it. The found footage thing was okay, but it really didn't add whatsoever to the creep factor the episode tried to have. The Sandmen were actually quite an intriguing idea to say the least, as I do like the idea of a machine that makes humans capable of living without sleep, and I could actually see that happening given our already heavy loaded schedules and whatnot. It kind of annoyed me that there had to be a twist with the Shearsmith character, can't remember the guy's name again, like at the end of every found footage movie. Still, I can at least commend Gatiss for writing something original. Number 11. The Woman Who Lived. Okay, I was looking forward to this one. I love Catherine Jenner. She's written great stuff for Torchwood, and fleshing out characters is something she does best, and she is the right woman for the job. This episode has some really great ideas in there, some really dark ones too, some strong stuff, and the Doctor and Ishioda's interactions in the first half are easily the highlights, but the episode falls completely flat with the whole Leandro and Portal subplot. It honestly feels forced and out of place, and Ishioda's complete 180-degree turn at the end isn't natural at all. Maybe it would have been better if Ishioda ultimately did become a villain. Surely it would have at least made for something a bit more personal to the Doctor, because he would have created that very villain. I don't know, it was nothing special, it wasn't awful, but it really didn't deserve the hype it had. Number 10. The Magician's Apprentice. Okay, flame shield up. I know a lot of people like this episode, but honestly, I find it to be average at best. Don't get me wrong, there's some great stuff in here, like the opening with the young Davros and the Doctor, that was great, and Colony Sarth is a really cool villain. And yeah, Missy does offer a few laughs, but in terms of relevance, this episode feels like padding when it comes to the plot, as most of it is saved for the witch's familiar. The whole planes freezing in the sky is, as Missy puts it, just a parlour trick, and I don't care how long it may have been for the characters. Missy coming back so soon makes it feel like more a bad rash than a threat, which she still doesn't feel like, and the whole typing to give a message to Unit, that's more River Song than the Master. That's no fault of Gomez, who should be commended for her performances, but she does not feel like the Master in terms of writing at all. Maybe it'd be better if somebody besides Moffat actually writes for her and has a stab. The cliffhanger also held no weight because we knew Clara and Missy couldn't be dead then. It's the type of cliffhanger that should be preserved for the penultimate, if anything. Number 9. The Witch's Familiar. Well, how about that? Okay, in fairness, I do like this episode a lot more than its immediate predecessor. The pacing was quite nice here, and I do like the whole dynamic splitting between Davros and the Doctor and Clara and Missy. Julia Bleach steals the show here as Davros, and the dialogue between the Doctor and Davros is some of the best that Stephen Moffat has written in years. I love how Missy practically treats Clara like a bitch throughout, like throwing her into the sewers. The sequence where they captured Dalek was also a lot of fun, and the decaying Dalek sewers was a grim yet brilliant idea. But here's the thing. What leaves me conflicted on this episode, however, is the fact that Davros and the Doctor were both lying to each other. Boomtown style, anybody? And the fact that the Daleks channel emotions now? It goes against everything that's already been established within the Daleks. But it does have the nice moment of Missy trying to convince the Doctor to kill Clara, but I'm still not convinced. Number 8. The Husbands of River Song. When it was announced that River was returning at Christmas, I had the same reaction as most people. Oh god, why? Because she's been a mixed bag to say the least. But surprisingly, she isn't too flirty and la-di-da here. Hydroflex is an awesome design, and the head segments with Greg Davis is amazingly done. There is genuinely a lot of laughs to be had, such as the Doctor entering the TARDIS and pretending to be astounded, even if Matt Lucas did kind of annoy me in this. The highlights is clearly once River realises who the Doctor actually is, and their ending together is beautiful. The emotions are high as Moffat actually ties things up and brings her story full circle. I was never bored throughout it either, and I love the sentiment that endings are inevitable, similar to Face the Raven, but this episode is what we needed after the pitiful Hellbent. Number 7. The Girl Who Died. Okay, I know this episode has a mixed reception to say the least, but I honestly really enjoy it. The setup in this episode isn't too dissimilar to the Time Warrior, but is still compelling. The Doctor having to lead Viking villagers against a warrior race. The humour in this episode is very strong, such as the Doctor naming the villagers Lofty, Heidi, and so on. I love the aftermath of the Doctor trying to train the villagers, and, well, them destroying the village. That's not to say it isn't without its emotional moments too, as when the Doctor translates baby, and it's so much better used than in Series 6, as well as the aftermath of Ashilda's death and the Doctor and Clara's interactions together. The emotions are also still high with Ashilda's resurrection, as it's almost a visceral reaction from the Doctor to save someone, because he grows fond of her and begins to instantly regret the decision. I love the Doctor's way of defeating the Maya. It's such a Doctor way to do so, especially blackmailing the fake Odin after using what he has around him, and the use of Ashilda's imagination to scare them off, with some nice humour again with the Benny Hill theme. I likes that touch. Number 6. The Zygon Invasion. This is a great setup episode. It takes a steady pace as it opens up, but it doesn't drag like The Magician's Apprentice and Witch's Familiar. I love the message here. The video sending really does resonate with the whole current ISIS situation, and the amount of variety in locations is also awesome here too. It really does give the sense of a worldwide epidemic. What works here too is that the stakes are actually high, such as the emotional manipulation from the Zygons on the soldiers. It's harsh but effectively used, even if the whole situation with the soldier and his mother may have gone on a bit too long. The final reveal with Clara that Jack pieces together is shocking on a first view, but it's brilliant in repeating views, at least in my experience. Sure, the whole editing was kind of obvious but questionable as to why it was even there. I also love just how helpless the ending is with Jack and Unit, who ultimately die for nothing, and by the time she puts 2 and 2 together, it's too late. Number 5. The Zygon inversion. So, this got even more political quickly. Straight off the bat, one of my minor gripes about the previous episode was that we were told the evil Zygons were simply a radicalised group, but we never really saw any innocent's perspective express their feelings. Sure, there was the girls at the beginning, but they were quickly disposed of without contributing much to the plot. But here, the innocent Zygon was making me feel genuinely upset for him, before even killing himself. That's dark and depressive, but it's sadly relevant too. Jenna Coleman also gets a hell of a lot more to work with in this episode, as both Bonnie and Clara, and it just shows what a great actress Coleman actually is, even if she has been a bit underserved many times. The segments with Clara inside a boarded up flat where everything doesn't quite add up, such as the gooey Two-Face that says, "This is Two-Face," is brilliant. She's also able to manipulate Bonnie, and I also love how Clara has to think her way out of a situation as she's backed into a corner. She can't lie, but it's tense as hell. And of course, there's the Capaldi speech. I think everyone and their mother said their piece about it, and I can't really add much else. But Capaldi deserves a nomination for an NTA and perhaps a BAFTA for his performance here. He honestly doesn't get as much recognition in the eyes of the general public and casual audience that he should deserve. Number 4. Before the Flood. Well, before rather, Under the Lake. This was a slight step down, but still an awesome episode overall. The separation actually worked quite well, as we have the Doctor with O'Donnell and Bennett in 1980 in an abandoned location trying to figure out just what the hell caused everything that's been going on, and then Clara with Cass Sam What's-His-Face in the future being hunted down by the ghosts, including the Doctor. Oh, and Apple's FaceTime supports Type 40 TARDISes now, so I wonder how long it'll be before the St. John's ambulance badge is replaced with the Apple logo. The Fisher King looked badass with those pulsing, fleshy things. Looking wrong anyway, but grim. And the way it towers over the Doctor in the dark, eerie set. And it's amazing voice work. Plus, let us not forget the man behind the screen. Corey Taylor, ladies and gentlemen. Number 3. Under the Lake. Okay, I'm making a predictable and bad habit of this with two-parters, aren't I? As I mentioned before, I love this episode and the story as a whole. The sets, whilst at times obviously recycled, do look good, and their ghost designs simple yet seriously unnerving, with the whole blank eye sockets and almost transparent heads. I love the tension of let's get chased by ghosts. It's high and it's great, and an example of when it's established that the ghosts are only appeared at night, and the base's system glitches to the night system again. And speaking of the ghosts, they're also a lead into a great mystery as to A, why they're here at all, and B, what the hell are they mouthing? The fact that they're practically silent makes it all the more disturbing in my opinion. I also love the Doctor's apology cards, which offer some great laughs and even a bit of fan service, such as the one about dropping Sarah Jane off in Aberdeen instead of Croydon. Two small niggles though is that the pompous dick who is interested in money, and that's it, that's his character. Yeah, literally. Nothing more, he's just ghost fodder really. And the character of Clara is completely different here in terms of behaviour as opposed to last week or the week before. Some consistency across all writers would be nice. Number 2, Face the Raven. Okay, despite my earlier remarks that the final was hellbent on throwing all emotional meaning and consequences away, this episode itself, with regards to its own self-contained stuff, is actually amazing. Sure, I'll be one of many and their tin dogs to point out that it's basically the Doctor and Co find Diagon Alley, and it's obvious that it was reused in the Christmas special, but I'm glad they did allow a new writer to take the reins here. Sarah Dollard packed this episode with an engaging and intriguing premise from the start regarding a literal ticking clock on the back of Riggsy's neck. Speaking of Riggsy, it's great we have him back here. Riggsy was also around at the peak of the Doctor and Clara arc in a sense, so I feel Flatline really started to solidify that they were becoming an increasingly similar pair, to the point where Clara takes the role of the Doctor. He's a little more fleshed out since the last time we actually saw him, now having a family, but the thing is, he's a likeable character, caught up in something as serious as being accused of murder and sentenced to death, which actually turns out to be sentenced by a shielder, who's now running an alien refugee camp of sorts. As the arc I mentioned earlier takes place here, with Clara having so much faith in her and the Doctor's abilities to survive anything, and taking the chronolock off Rigsy, only for her to find that they can't do anything. Their helplessness is such a sting. Clara's death here was an absolute killer. The way she tries to calm the Doctor whilst telling him that he shouldn't be a warrior but a doctor, linking to the 50th advice, and he questions, what's the point in being a doctor if I can't cure you? Their exchange is heart-wrenching, and the fact that Clara faces death bravely like Danny is a nice end for the character. At least it was. But the Doctor's rage towards the Shielder is also a highlight. My god, I've been waiting all series for this, but Capaldi can be absolutely terrifying when enraged. That is what I love about 12. Too bad this whole episode, and its key theme of consequences, was stabbed and left in the gutter to die by the terrible monstrosity that was Hellbent. Number 1. Heaven Sent. Yeah, you all saw this coming by now, and I hate to jump on popular opinions, but my god, this was a freaking phenomenal masterpiece! So first off, the plot itself takes place well, at least directly after Face the Raven, where a Shielder transports the Doctor to this weird old castle that basically looks like something that could become a game show. Okay, in a more serious way, the Doctor's being toyed with, and that's quickly made apparent due to the castle shifting and changing with every confession he makes as he tries to find Room 12, where something awaits him. But he's also being chased by a creature known only as the Veil, representing something plucked from the Doctor's nightmares, aka an old woman who died in summer heat, so the flies came to her corpse. When he reaches Room 12, it's still a carrot on a stick, as an Asbantian wall actually blocks his path. So what does he do? He starts punching his way through. Throughout this torment, the Doctor manages to break through his grief of Clara's death, and find a way to survive this hellhole, through an almost Mind Palace-like situation, where his apparition of Clara tells him to just get off his ass and win. No pretentious overdrawn or overblown monologue, just get off your ass and win. That's so much better than some aimless dialogue trying to sound poetic. Soon after, he manages to find a way to reprogram the teleport chamber to create copies of himself each time he's killed by, well, the Veil, and carry on the progress. Eventually he reaches Gallifrey, revealing the hybrid to be quote-unquote me, and tells an onlooker to warn the council he's returned the long way round, which makes it appear like he's going to go ape shit for putting him in said trap and being indirectly responsible for the death of Clara, and endangering Rigsy in the process. Too bad it then turned out that Hellbent was utter shite. The metaphor for the Doctor's grief and mental strain yet resistance is fantastic here. He's literally breaking through his own pain. It's dark and fairly morbid stuff to begin with, until the Doctor manages to find his strength when he needs it the most. And then this was also curb stomped, shanked and left in the gutter to die thanks to Hellbent, since it's now more or less completely irrelevant outside of its own narrative. My god, Hellbent was crap. Sure, in this episode there are a few inconsistencies such as why the messages don't reset and why the wall doesn't reset, and obviously if Asbantian is 400 times harder than Diamond, you ain't getting through that with your fist, but I don't care because it's honestly so much gold. I don't know what else to say, it's a great metaphor on the whole. That's what's important, not exactly what's happening around him. So, all in all, a strong season on the whole. Just with some hiccups that are pretty notable and at times create tidal waves that can affect other stories' replay value, and any means in terms of story, and not in a good way either. The overarching theme was really disappointing, but the format of the series was a welcome return. There was some awesome original monster design like the Ghost and the Maya, but there was far too much fan wank. The Doctor and Clara dynamics evolution from this to Series 8 was also an awesome. The Doctor and Clara dynamic evolution from Series 8 to Series 9 was also awesome, and it was nice to see it come full circle and finally for the Doctor and Clara to move on. I give Series 9 an 8.5 out of 10. Thanks for watching and I'll see you next time. Be sure to comment on your ranked series and please share your opinions. After all, it's subjective to all our opinions, no one is right or wrong. And I'm sorry if I'm sounding a bit off because, well, I am. And I'm sorry I'm going a bit blah 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 at times, but you know, I'm rambling and like I say, I'm not feeling great. But anyways, without further ado, I will see you guys next time.